We are the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technology Research and Development, or PCIEERD, one of the sectoral councils under the Department of Science and Technology. We are all about innovation and progress. We lead and partner with public and private institutions in generating science and technology policies, strategies, and technologies that spur national economic development. We formulate policies and strategies for scientific and technological directions. We fund and support R&D efforts in the industry, energy, and emerging technology sectors. We provide opportunities that enrich human resources and facilitate the development of institutions. We move technology forward through adoption, transfer, and commercialization of available technologies. We ensure timely and effective delivery of research results. The Council encompasses sectors under these priority areas. And all of these are backed by a highly skilled and science technology workforce for quality technologies and innovations. We are driven in bringing homegrown science and technology to the fore of the competitive global arena, creating impact on the country's progress and improving the quality of life of every Filipino. We uplift lives through innovations. PCIEERD. We are the Innovation Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technologies. Excellence, creativity, R&D innovations, wealth generation, and global competitiveness. These define the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, or PCIEERD. PCIEERD is one of the sectoral councils under the Department of Science and Technology that plans, promotes, and manages scientific and technological research for the industry, energy, and emerging technology sectors. Our core values guide us every step of the way. Commitment. Having faith in the system, we are passionate at what we do. We take the extra mile and make things happen. Respect. We demonstrate integrity and fairness in all we say and do. We treat everybody with respect. Excellence. Innovative and competitive change agents. That is what we are. We do our best where we are the best. Sense of urgency. Time is of the element. What we do today is always the priority. Teamwork. Our success is characterized by our collective energy and intelligence. We grow, prosper, and celebrate success together. PCIEERD is all about innovation, providing the much-needed edge to be a greater participant in the global market, which in turn impacts our lives and society. How? Policy development and advocacy, support for research and development, human resource and institution development, science and technology information dissemination and promotion, support for technology transfer and commercialization. PCIEERD focuses on 21 important sectors. To help these sectors, PCIEERD conducts industry scanning and develops roadmaps. Technologies are developed to address a specific need, improving processes for better outputs, and making industries more globally competitive. The private sector remains to be our partner. We do not compete with them. Instead, we work hand in hand in our R&D activities. Aside from formulating national policies, programs, and implementing strategies, PCIEERD continually innovates and disseminates science information in a fun and exciting manner. We explore every aspect of technology to discover innovations that benefit every Filipino, from amazing nanotechnology to even inventing new flavors or making your favorite food taste like you have never tasted before. We have even explored the Earth and beyond with Diwata. PCIEERD reaches out to communities with the benefits of science and technology.
Ang pamunuan po ng Barangay Lower Bicutan ay lubos na nagpapasalamat sa DOST sa kanilang ipinagkaloob na rain catcher.
Malaki po ang naitulong sa aming barangay dahil dito po nagmumula ang mga ginagamit namin sa paglilinis ng aming barangay, pagdidilig ng mga halaman, kaya po natutuwa po talaga kami sa proyektong ito.
Maganda po ito sa amin para maano yung kalusugan po namin lalo sa tubig.
Malaking bagay talaga ito, yung blessing na ito. Salamat na kami yung pinagkalooban ninyo.
PCIEERD continuously develops homegrown human resource with capability building initiatives such as Balik Scientist Program, a brain gain trust that encourages highly overseas Filipino scientists to return to the Philippines and share their expertise. Innovation Hub, the Silicon Valley of the Philippines. Innovation Hub stimulates local innovation among entrepreneurial startups with the critical help of the government and the private sector. With change comes opportunities to innovate, giving us a chance to push the limits of our capacity to innovate, to champion the Filipino ingenuity and creativity, to improve with the times and win stamps of approval along the way. We are committed to bring local science and technology to the global stage, to make an impact on the country's progress and improve the quality of life of every Filipino. We are the Innovation Council.
Pleasant morning to everyone. We would like to invite you to join us in the invocation to be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. Give thanks. We give thanks. We give
Magandang umaga, magandang agham sa lahat. Good morning, everyone. Good morning po to our 114 participants here in the Zoom room. And we also have participants now in our Facebook Live. So meron po tayong 30 participants who are watching now in our Facebook Live. So welcome to our DOST-FDA Forum on Novel Food Product Registration today. We would like to warmly recognize all of our participants, our esteemed guests and speakers, our DOST officials, our friends from the academe, government, and private industries, and of course, to our researchers. Thank you for joining us today in this meeting, in this forum, whether you are in the Zoom room or you are here in our Facebook Live. Thank you very much for being with us. Your virtual presence, speaks a lot. And we are excited that through this forum, in partnership with the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, of the Department of Health, we will be able to cook possible engagements and collaborations on food product registration and among others. We would be pleased to hear from you later, as we will be having our open forum with our distinguished guests from FDA, from UP Diliman, and of course, from DOST. I am Dayan Tating from the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technology, Research and Development, or DOST-PCIEERD, and I am privileged to be your host for today. Now, let me go over a few reminders to guide us on how to interact with today's session. So, for those who are in the Zoom room, please do rename your Zoom name following this format. That's your the name of your agency dash your full name. For example, PCIEERD dash Dayan. Ako pala, hindi pa ako nagpapalit. Kailangan ko pala magpalit. Okay, so that's your agency dash your name. Second, kindly mute your microphone when it's not your turn to speak to minimize the background noise. You may opt to turn off the camera to reduce the bandwidth and to avoid intermittent connection. But please, if you have the privilege and the luxury of your internet connection, please, we would like and we would love to see you here virtually. And of course, for those who are in our Facebook Live and also in our Zoom room, we would be glad to receive any questions or any clarifications. So you can type them in the Q&A chat box. While for those who are in our Facebook Live, you can comment it down in our comment section. Please do not type any vulgar words or any inappropriate remarks. Let us observe proper chat etiquette. Lastly, this meeting is recorded and may be used for documentation and posting on our social media accounts. Now, I know that everybody is up for our forum today. I am excited, and I know that everybody is also. Now, to welcome us today is none other than the ever passionate and dedicated leader of the Department of Science and Technology, the leader who is comparable to a father leading this family. Everybody, let us warmly welcome the Secretary of DOST, our dear Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña. Sec Boy has, as we fondly call him, has been working with the department for the last 30 years. He became the head of DOST's Planning Services, appointed as Director of the Technology Application and Promotion Institute. He also worked as Undersecretary for Scientific and Technological Services, and since 2016 as the DOST Secretary. At the same time that he entered DOST, he was a part-time professor at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Throughout the years, he rose up the ranks and became chair of the UP's Department of Industrial Engineering and Operations Research, full-time industrial engineering professor, director of UP's Small Scale Industries, and vice president of the UP Systems Planning and Development. All these while also holding key roles in different organizations, such as the Congressional Commission on Science, Technology, and Engineering in 2008, and chairman of the United Nations Commission on Science and Technology for Development in 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all give a warm welcome to our dear Secretary, Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña. Good morning, Secretary.
Warmest greetings to everyone. I am very pleased to meet and warmly welcome all of you on this significant event as we talk about novel food product registration. This forum was conceptualized early this year as a result of our review of completed projects. As the mandated agency in providing central direction for scientific and technological solutions to pressing national problems, the DOST has supported several art studies producing novel products for the food industry that are intended to reach the market. These include natural food colorants, enzymes, fermentation products, and other novel ingredients from emerging processes. While we value activities conducted for local raw materials, we also put emphasis in bringing these products to the market to increase our productivity and economic benefits to the food industry. And we can only do this by ensuring the safety and quality of the products in compliance to regulatory requirements and processes. For this event, we have partnered with the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, to enlighten us on the topic. In this webinar, we hope that our participants will be able to acquire a deeper knowledge regarding the necessary registration processes and requirements for food products with our FDA. Also, to identify the special requirements for registration of products involving novel raw materials or emerging processes, and to realize how these processes and requirements could be integrated in the research and development process. We deeply appreciate the passion and commitment of the Food and Drug Administration team, led by Director General Eric Domingo, for partnering with us to accomplish our collective vision of providing safe and sustainable food for every Filipino. Because health drives economic prosperity, we at the Department of Science and Technology will serve and protect the well-being of our people by vigorously advancing strategies for science and technology in the country. We encourage our researchers, our policymakers, our entrepreneurs, investors, key stakeholders, and the public in general to come together in partnership to achieve our shared goals of ending hunger and sustainable food production by providing greater access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. We need you as much as you need us to bring safe and quality food for everyone, by everyone, through science, technology, and innovation. Thank you for your continued trust and confidence in our products and services. We look forward to helping more Filipinos. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Thank you so much, Secretary. Indeed, I agree with what you said, that we need one another. So please, for everybody who are in the Zoom room, we apologize that you cannot rename your Zoom name. So please, we would love to hear from you. Can you type in the Zoom chat your name and also your agency? Gusto lang po naming makita, makilala sino pang mga kasama natin for today. And also for those who are joining us through FB Live, can we get a thumbs up or a heart there? And your name also and your affiliation. We would love to see you. We would love to hear you. Okay, so this time we are also privileged to hear from the Director General of the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, of the Department of Health. For the past few years, up until now, Dr. Domingo has been serving as the Undersecretary of the Department of Health, currently an Associate Professor at the University of the Philippines, Manila, for the last 23 years. Wow. A manager, a professor, and a published researcher with more than 20 years of experience in both the public and the private sides of the health sector. Everybody, let us warmly welcome with a virtual applause, Dr. Rolando Enrico Domingo. Good morning, sir. Do we have Dr. Domingo already here? Okay, while we are waiting for Dr. Domingo, sige, we have here, okay, there. Good morning, Doc. Doc, you, okay, all right.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me now?
Yes po, Doc, go ahead.
Yeah, so good morning, everybody. especially our friends from the Department of Science and Technology, and then of course by our dear friend Sec Boy de la Peña, our colleagues from the academe, the food industries, and to everyone who is with us today via social media. I'm very pleased that the DOST, especially the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, has organized this forum to provide us with a venue to share laws, regulations, and guidelines implemented by the FDA when it comes to processed food products. Today, I want to emphasize the critical importance of food safety for the research and development sector of our country, and equally important role of science, research, and innovations to improve the safety and quality of our locally produced processed food. It should be our primary duty to provide our countrymen and the global community with safe and quality Filipino-made food products. Innovation is at the heart of domestic and global competitiveness. Homegrown researches and innovations are very much appreciated and valued by the Food and Drug Administration. That is why this forum is very crucial and timely to have a venue of sharing of information and ideas from us, the food safety regulators, and you, our colleagues from the academe and the food industry. Today, selected Center of Food Regulation and Research officials of the FDA and employees are here to present the context of our food and safety regulatory system and guidelines regarding the regulation of processed food, particularly on the novel foods. I want to note that while the world is rapidly changing, the role of government as a regulator remains fundamentally important as we balance innovation with sound and science-based regulations in the food industry. We all have the crucial responsibility to manage our food safety systems so our consumers will be assured that they will be buying and enjoying safe food products. This role has to be met in an environment where the food industry and government institutions are working hand in hand in an open, transparent, and collaborative manner. Let me finish by assuring you that the FDA Philippines is with you in our unending quest for food safety and innovations. Thank you again for the invitation to join you in this forum, and I wish all of you a very, very productive day ahead. Maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.
All right, magandang umaga din po muli, Doc Domingo. Thank you. And yes, we are responsible for the safety of our food. And we are excited for today's forum because we would be hearing a lot from FDA. So this time, let us move on to hear about the DOST supported technologies for the food sector. To present to us this presentation is an outstanding engineer who led and worked on numerous game-changing programs and projects in the fields of land surveying, remote sensing and geographic information system, environmental monitoring and disaster risk assessment and management. One of the notable projects he led is the Disaster Risk Assessment, Exposure and Mitigation Light Ranging and Detection Technology, or what we call the DREAM LiDAR. This project addressed and helped mitigate the effects of flooding disasters in the country by producing accurate national terrain elevation maps and training highly skilled LiDAR and flood mapping experts all over the country. The initiatives of DREAM LiDAR were essential to the country's resource monitoring and management. It also provided valuable contributions among various government agencies in its decision-making processes for policy formulation. To welcome us today and to share with us DOST-PCIEERD's DOST's supported technologies for the food sector, let us all warmly welcome Dr. Enrico C. Paringit. Over to you, Doc Eric. Good morning po. Do we have Doc Eric here?
Hello, hello, good morning.
All right. Good morning, Doc.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Diane. First of all, I'd like to greet everyone a pleasant morning as we discuss how we can enable the food innovations sector to have its uh, solutions be made accessible to the market through our regulatory and statutory processes. First of all, of course, I'd like to send my thanks to Secretary Boy de la Peña, who had given his message earlier and provided the rationale for this forum. And of course, to the FDA Director General Eric Domingo, who had given his message. It's nice also to hear from him and not talk about, and not one word coming out of his mouth talking about vaccine. Because of course we're going to talk about food. So of course I'd like to also thank our colleagues from the Center for Food Regulations and Research Director, Ms. Pilar Marilyn Pagayunan, for lending her hand, no, in making this event possible. Also to our other speakers, distinguished guests and participants, of course our very valued researchers and industry partners, our friends from the media, of course, our colleagues from the DOST, ladies and gentlemen, pleasant morning. We at the PCIEERD are pleased and honored to virtually meet everyone as we discuss the necessary requirements and registration process of the Food and Drug Administration for novel food products and ingredients. Support, no, for research and development activities related to food, apart of course from other support programs that we have on human resource development. Of course, because we are a government agency, we're also responsible for disseminating and promoting some of the innovations that have come out of the research activities that our researchers have done. This transitioning from research and development all the way to market penetration is of course facilitated through various technology transfer mechanisms that we also have support programs for, and we're also working hand in hand with FDA to make sure that the policies, regulations, and even some legislations are also attuned, no, to the evolving technologies and preferences, no, of the public, of the consuming public. You know, in 2020, despite the pandemic, the council was able to pivot and deliver innovations to the Filipino people. No? 100 of them have been completed despite the restrictions, no? And 33 of them were even COVID-19 related. Sorry, I was not able to extract which of them are actually food related. Sure, some of them are. Maybe just to give you an overall perspective of the depth and the commitment that we have in making sure that our food innovation ecosystem is well supported. I just like to uh, to tell everyone that over the last 10 years where we've monitored or we've analyzed the level of support that the department has on the food sector, you'll see actually here that food remains one of our top priorities. In fact, if you are going through it on a year-to-year basis, no, you will even see that the level, the intensity, in terms of the number of projects, in terms of have been fairly consistent, no, and actually high if you will have to look at it, no. If you combine both, even the resources available to DOST and PCIEERD GIA. From here on, I just like to give you a few examples of why are we here, no? And what made us, what prompted us to say that well, we need to hear from FDA what needs to be done. Uh, First off, we have our natural dyes and food colorants program, and you'll see here actually the number of products, patents, and utility models that have been developed no, out of this project with the amount that's indicated on your screen. No? And these elements are this project develop methods for extraction of pigments such as anthocyanins and beta-carotenes from local plant sources. And these are developed to help address the global need for more ingredients in the food sector. So therefore, a question here is how do we then proceed to making sure that these have passed the regulatory requirements before they see the market? No? Another project illustrative of our agenda right now is this red monascus red, no? Which is a bio-based colorant, which is thought of as an alternative for colorant for consumer goods, like snacks, candies, chocolates, beverages, coffee, and others, no? As well as agro-industrial commodities such as flour, meat products, egg, and animal feed. So they're also in that process of submitting their requirements for FDA approval so that it could be used as a key ingredient, no, as coloring. There are also emerging novel products that are coming out of waste materials. For example, this project here from Central Luzon State University develop methods for extracting value-added products like collagen or gelatin, fish oil, proteases, and hydrosylates from fish processing wastes. No, these are not actually extracted from the fish itself, but those parts, no, that are thought of as having no value. So again, the question here is how do we bring these products to the market by making sure also that they meet the regulatory requirements on safety and also consistency. Aside from the research projects that we have, of course, supported, as well as that led to some of the prototypes and novel products, making sure that whatever comes out of our laboratories are also meeting health and safety standards, no, particularly for food. So these are some of the facilities, laboratories, and systems that have been supporting the food sector. Of course, number one of them is the Food Innovation Center, or FICs, which are the centralized facilities for turning product concepts into prototypes up to market testings. We have one FIC established all over the country. And in fact, there's one for every region. And then, of course, there's this main FIC at ITDI to cater to the needs of the industry, food startups, and budding entrepreneurs. So basically, these FICs are equipped with DOST-developed equipment such as vacuum frying, spray drying, water retort, and freeze drying. You're sort of, you have this Swiss Army knife of for food, right? And then the FICs enable the development of new products and ingredients from our abundant raw supply in the region. So you could imagine that for every region, they actually have prototype food products making use of these four main equipment and then some other maybe special processes. In fact, if I recall the listing, there are over 1,000 prototypes that were developed over the course of 4 or 5 years, and that's very astounding if you tell me, no? If you ask me. And then from the regional FICs, we have an array of thermally processed products in like goat or chevron meat and seafood, spray-dried and freeze-dried powders from local fruits and vegetables, and other concepts and prototypes from the creative and innovative minds of our researchers and industry partners. We're just so glad that some of them are already seeing production, no? Production scale manufacturing, but some of them are also waiting in the wings, no? Trying to gets the much needed support also and interest coming from the industry. Apart from the production of prototype food products, packaging is also a main concern, because we of course we wanted to maintain the safety, the long increase the shelf life of our products. So we also have the packaging technologies which are being shepherded, of course, by our Industrial Technology Development Institute, particularly the Packaging Technology Division, that can help develop packaging materials systems appropriate for products. In fact, this year, the ITDI will also launch the newly established Simulation Packaging Testing Laboratory and the Green Packaging Laboratory, which will house state-of-the-art equipment and develop methods on transport packaging, and solutions for our products. This, of course, to ensure that products go to reaches, no, the household, no, in a safe and safe, nutritious, and of course delicious manner. So it might be surprising to everyone, but also our Philippine Nuclear Research Institute is for exports such as spices and other dried products, it needs irrigation. No? And the PNRI, or the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute, has an irrigation facility which is able to process or treat these spices and dried products at a large capacity. This includes a cobalt-60 multipurpose irrigation facility, the gamma cell 220 and electro beam facility that are used for food but also for medical products, by the way. On top of that, there's always a clamor for having food, no, tested. And for testing needs, one lab is the DOST project that integrates both government and even private laboratories under a network to provide global access to comprehensive testing and calibration services at a single touch point. So it provides seamless handling of samples from receiving, referral, transport, analysis to prompt delivery of results. So analysis include, of course, for water, for food, microbiological tests, and even calibration. Recently, we have the ITDI had launched the Modular Multi-Industry Innovation Center, which was established to address the concerns of different industry sectors, such as the absence of equipment for R&D and technology assistance for MSMEs on the development of new products, product equivalent, product variances, and product reintroduction at a pilot scale. And to evaluate the feasibility of these products, the cost and the scaling factors prior to the implementation at a full scale process. So this innovation hub or InnoHub focuses on raw materials that are actually byproducts of commercial operations that could possibly generate new innovative products on food ingredients, beauty nutritional supplements, fuels, energy, feeds, and fertilizers. In other words, this is a facility that could help also make use, no, of those spent products, no, or wastes, no, coming from calamansi. The examples here are calamansi, coconut oil using a dry method. Now, just to complete the segment, no, of that entire value chain cycle from the production to the processing all the way to the distribution, DOST also had made sure that whatever comes out of the research and development activities eventually find their way into homes through the market, no? And in fact, DOST has a digital marketing platform called One Store, which incorporates elements of e-commerce and the operations of MSMEs from the regions. So you'll see here that some of the key products that are on shelf, no, virtually in the store are DOST supported products, no. So through One Store, customers can order online and have their products delivered at the doorstep, at your doorstep. Or retail shopping, no? But of course it features, or it's inclined towards local products, especially those coming out of DOST research and development efforts. Recently, we have also launched the DOST Smart Food Value Chain program for the new normal. This is in the recognition that we need to continue bolstering food safety and security for sustainable development. Uh, and this is actually an integrated program amongst the DOST agencies, no, including, of course, PCIEERD for production, PCIEERD for processing. Of course, ITDI does many of the heavy lifting, no, that needs to be done in order for us to be able to smartify our food value chain, no? And then, of course, FNRI has a leading role regional offices. And the following programs had already been rolled out and are starting, in fact, no. For the first is upgrading of food processing centers and rollout of technologies. There's also a concept of this smart modular mobile food processing facility. There's also a program or a project on upgrading the capability of existing distribution centers in the delivery of fresh or semi-processed vegetables in the supply market. And then there's also we also need to develop this integrated food value chain resource management system. It's more, IT based, but of course it's not just IT. It has to have an understanding of the different segments of One Store. We also have a project on smart retailing system. We actually also have a close cooperation with the DTI Value Food Innovations Program through by developing and promoting of food products of Philippine SMEs, no, including research and development, product testing, labeling and packaging, content marketing, and production. So the identified products will actually be showcased at the DOST Innovation Hub booth at the IFEX Philippines. IFEX is like our mecca for the food innovations this year, hopefully. So, if you are a researcher, we are also calling out and appealing to you to heed our call, no, for proposals under the priority programs for 2022 to 2026, no, under our harmonized national research and development agenda on food safety, food innovation, DOST Halal S&T, and the DOST Smart Food Value Chain. We of course, we'd also like to remind everyone that part and parcel of any research proposal that we would also receive, or we'd like to receive, is to take note of the regulatory and ethical requirements on the food innovations or food research activities that you will be conducting. So it's very critical now that you also listen, no, to our research the rollout of your technologies or your products, no, in the commercial market. But even during the conduct of your experiments, it might require you to already seek approval of FDA, or at least meet the regulatory and ethical requirements needed for conducting experiments on food. if I were to elaborate, the food safety program, of course, is in support of the implementation of the Food Safety Act of 2013, where the UST is leading the development of the integrated food safety program. And projects are implemented to jumpstart R&D activities towards building the national capacity food safety risk assessments as a basis for policies and further studies. For food innovations program, of course, we're always open to that possibility of tapping onto sourcing of raw materials, processing, packaging, including, of course, there were several products and improved processes that were developed under FICs, as I mentioned earlier. And we wanted to further increase this rate, no? And but of course, now the great challenge that we're recognizing is also to make sure that whatever innovations that we make out of food using new or novel materials also meet regulatory requirements. In support also of RA 10187, or the Philippine Halal Export Development and Promotion Act, as a provider of scientific and technical knowledge in support of the halal industry, DOST implemented the DOST Halal S&T program. So for the 2021 call, for 2022 or 2023 implementation, we wanted to call for researchers that aim to improve the capacity of the local halal industry for strengthening the halal ecosystem. We're looking at proposals that seek to address the needs of the halal tourism industry by ensuring availability of halal food and building the capacity of hospitality industry to be Muslim friendly, and the development of a tourist portal for Muslim travelers. Of course, the value chain program is not yet complete. I think it's never going to be complete. But the more projects that we have linked together in the chain, the better it is, so that we can make the total ecosystem smarter, no? Incrementally. And for this call, we are actually looking out for IT-based platforms to capture, process, and provide timely and reliable data to efficiently trace resources and aid in efficient and informed decision making in the food supply chain management. So you can imagine that we're looking for proposals for systems that will be able to provide analytics and management reports for action of stakeholders. And we hope that the systems to be developed will provide a strong link among farmers, traders and logistics, distributors, processors, retailers, and relevant government and non-government. We expect our researchers who are in this forum to respond or to hit to this call. So to all of you who have good ideas on how to respond to these calls, you may submit your proposals starting May 3. You may need to register before that as a researcher if you're not yet into the DOST ecosystem for R&D. But we can receive proposals starting May 3 up to June 3 strictly. At the stroke of midnight, we will be closing doors. So please don't wait for the deadline. So the complete package of the call for proposals and application forms can be viewed from the link that's provided above. So let us know if you have any queries. We're open to it. In fact, for 2023, we're targeting something like 42 million to be supported, and expecting another 35 million from the USTG. Of course, all of the proposals that you submitted will be approved, no? So this is the amount of the support that we're projecting in the next few years. So again, to strengthen that goal, we also to strengthen the current and ongoing projects and programs of DOST on food. We are having this forum to allow us to again, work hand in hand with our partners to scale up the innovation to the next level. So we hope our researchers will be able to maximize this forum to engage FDA, and please do ask questions, no? Especially in terms of overcoming, no, the hurdles of regulatory requirements on food products. I know that it is not at all formidable. In fact, it is doable, no? And it's very fortunate. We are very fortunate that FDA has been very kind and very open to this idea, because they also want our food industry to flourish. They also want to make sure that food is not only available in our tables, they also want to make sure that food is safe for us to consume. Thank you again to FDA. One of those series of steps that we will be taking so that we can bring the outputs of our researchers for the benefit of of the Filipino people. No? We look forward to further future collaboration with you as we also help our researchers make their innovations work for the people. So again, thank you very much and makinig po tayo doon sa mga sasabihin ng FDA. Again, thank you very much for coming into this forum, and please do tell us if you have any further queries and how we can further help you. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you so much, Doc Eric. Thank you for that presentation. And we would like to again remind everybody of the very important dates that Doc Eric mentioned a while ago. So that's May 3 to June 3. Should you want to submit your proposals, pwede po, isulat nyo na po, ihanda nyo na po. You have a month to prepare that, more than a month pa. So again, I would also like to reiterate what Doc Eric said, that if you can secure already the ethical and regulatory requirements for the proposals that you would be writing, please do them. And should you have any questions or clarifications about that later, we have the privilege to ask your questions, your queries to our people from our honorable guest from FDA. So might as well take this time para po maitanong natin yung mga gusto po nating maitanong so that we can prepare our well-written proposals. Now, before we proceed, alam ko po na excited na po ang bawat isa to hear from our speakers. But before that, I would like to quickly greet our participants. So, ilan nga bang ating participants today? Nakita ko po kanina, we are already 100 eh. Okay. We have 159. Grabe, dahil po natin. 159 here in Zoom. And kanina po nakita ko around 50 or 60 yung ating viewers in Facebook Live. Now, banggitin ko po ang ating mga participants. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We have from Camarines Sur, Kanzashi Mushroom Farm. We have Philippine Dental Association, Cebu Chapter Incorporated. Hello po sa mga taga Cebu. Toklong First Multipurpose Cooperative of Imos, Cavite. We also have from DOST-STII Tarlac, City Potter's Hand Processed Food. We also have from Lorenzana Food Corporation, Food Flow Incorporation, Rawi Food Processing from CDO or Marawi. Grabe, hello po. Sonia's Garden Product Development Team. Salamat po. Thank you for joining us. We also have from our academe friends, of course, from CLSU. Hello po. Technological University of the Philippines, TUP. Magandang umaga po. We also have all the way from Palawan, Palawan State University. Andito din po ang Cavite State University. Of course, we have people from UP Los Baños and also Adventist University of the Philippines. Siyempre, nandyan din po mga taga Zamboanga, Peninsula Food Innovation Center, Partido State University, and siyempre ang Philippine Women's College of Davao and USTP Claveria. From LGU, who joined us today, greetings po for the Provincial Entrepreneurial Development Office of the Provincial Government of Cavite. And of course, sa aming mga kapatid, kapamilya from DOST, we have from DOST 4A, from PSTC Rizal, PSTC Cavite, DOST-8, FNRI, ITDI, syempre nandyan din po. And of course, from FDA, Center for Food Regulations, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Now, the highlight of our program, of our forum for today, we are honored to hear about, Food Safety Act. You'll be hearing about regulations and relevant issues for novel food products. Meron din pong about registration process, yung requirements po natin for the novel food products, yung certificates, analyses, safety data, scientific studies, and others. So I know these topics make you excited. So without any further delay, allow me to introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is Mr. Timothy Moises C. Mendoza, Food Safety Unit of the FDA Center for Food Regulation and Research. Mr. Mendoza is the officer in charge of the Food Safety Unit of the Food and Drug Administration Philippines Center for Food Regulation and Research. He has a wide array of experience in food product evaluation, drafting of policies and regulations, program management, coordination of food investigations in the Philippines, and media affairs. Currently, he is tasked to implement certain provisions of the Philippine Food Safety Act of 2013 through coordination of various programs and activities such as the establishment of the Philippine Rapid Alert System for Food and Feed, drafting of the Philippine Food Safety, Emergency, and Crisis Management Plan in coordination with the World Health Organization. Big time po ating speaker. The convening of the Food Safety Regulation Coordinating Board, the highest food safety regulatory body in the Philippines, and forging national and international linkages in food safety. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome with a warm virtual applause our first speaker, Mr. Timothy Mendoza. Over to you, Sir Tim.
Thank you, Ms. Diane, for the very kind introduction. Once again, good morning, everyone. Apologies, I have face mask, nasa office kasi. But I hope you can hear me very clearly.
Yes,
so, yeah, thank you. We now go to our presentation for today. So, I will be providing a glimpse of the Food Safety Act of 2013. So, this is pre-digested kasi kung babasahin po natin ang Food Safety Act or i-represent natin siya, it will take at least half a day to really delve into the specifics. But I have summarized the Food Safety Act for us today, this morning, and we are going to highlight the important features. So I hope the presentation is ready. Okay, so we will focus on the responsibilities of food business operators according to the Food Safety Act of 2013. So next slide, please. So the Food Safety Act, yes, please, is entitled An Act to Strengthen the Food Safety Regulatory System in the country to protect consumer health and facilitate market access of local foods and food products and for other purposes. So the shortened version of this is the Food Safety Act of 2013. Next slide, please. And just a brief timeline of the progression of the law. It was first outlined in 2010, and in 2013, it was signed into law as RA 10611 on 23 of August. And it took quite a while to formulate the implementing rules and regulations. And it was finalized in the year of 2015, 20th of February. So basically, we have been implementing the provisions of the law since the enactment of the IRR. So we have 6 years worth of implementation. Next slide, please. And what are the main objectives of the law? First and foremost is the protection of the public from foodborne and waterborne illnesses and unsanitary, unwholesome, misbranded, or adulterated foods. So first and foremost is public health. We want to protect our countrymen from getting sick, getting foodborne diseases, and any other conditions arising from consuming substandard or low quality and unsafe food products. The second objective of the law is enhancement of the industry and consumer confidence in the food regulatory system. We value this component of our objective of the law because this is founded in trust. So we do trust building activities such as this, presenting our regulations, hearing out our responses from the industry, the academe, and our consumers alike, in order for us to build the confidence of our industries and consumers in our regulatory system. So the third objective is in achieving economic growth and development by promoting fair trade practices and sound regulatory foundation for domestic and international trade. We see that food safety is not only for public health, but it's also a driver of economic growth. We see that food safety and assurance of quality is time and time a tool that can be used to penetrate other markets, not only domestically, but internationally. So those are the objectives of our law. Next slide, please. So what is the first and foremost important feature of our Food Safety Act of 2013? So this is very much related with our topic right now, which are concerned about innovations and novelties in food. So the law aims to strengthen the scientific basis of our food safety regulatory system of the country. So highlighting the importance of researches, studies, and sharing of scientific data between government agencies, the academe, industries, and consumers alike. So these are very much ingrained in the Food Safety Act that the government, alongside with the industries and consumers, must be focused on implanting the scientific basis in our systems, not only with the regulatory system, but with our system as a whole in for example, a food business operation. So next is emphasizing the need for risk analysis. So this is a very relevant tool that we use, risk analysis comprising of risk assessment, risk management, and risk communication. So this is part of our strengthening. And on the second important feature, Department of Health and Department of Agriculture as responsible for developing and enforcing food safety regulatory measures. So the law basically summarized that the Department of Health and Department of Agriculture are the main agencies responsible for setting out the regulatory measures involving food safety. So examples of such are labeling regulations, standards for maximum levels of contaminants, code of good practices, and later on, which will be presented by my colleague later, the processes how we could secure certificate of product registrations and the involving requirements. So the next feature is local government units as responsible for the following. So not only the national government agencies are responsible in assuring food safety, but as well the very crucial role of our LGUs. So they are responsible in the sanitation on public markets, slaughterhouses, food caterers, restaurants, and public eating places. So they implement and enforce the Code on Sanitation of the Philippines. And this is further strengthened by the Food Safety Act by providing a mechanism for the national government agencies to download the regulations that we have. So later on, we have a provision that will be discussed. So next is delineation and linkage of food safety responsibilities of the DA, DOH, and LGU. So gone are the days that we work in silos. So kanya-kanya, no? We are compelled to integrate our processes from one another and link our processes so as to prevent redundancies, to prevent loopholes. Well, it's not a perfect system yet, but we do envision to have a very robust and holistic approach in assuring food safety, which is farm to fork. So next slide, please. So this is just a summary of the flow chart on work processes of the DA, DOH, and LGU. So DA jurisdiction is responsible for the primary and post-harvest stages of food. And when it goes to the processing and distribution stages, which most of you attendees are here because of processing and distribution stages. And when it goes to the food service stage, it is now under the LGU jurisdiction. So all roads lead to the local government unit. So who are the DA food safety regulatory agencies? So we have 9 food safety regulatory agencies from the DA. So we have the Bureau of Animal Industry, the Bureau of Plant Industry, the Bureau of Fisheries Aquatic Resources, National Food Authority, National Meat Inspection Service, Fertilizer Pesticide Authority, Philippine Coconut Authority, National Dairy Authority, and Sugar Regulatory Administration. On the next slide is the DOH Food Safety Regulatory Agencies, which we belong to, the Food and Drug Administration Philippines, and the Bureau of Quarantine, our sister agency, which is responsible as well for assuring food safety within ports and airports. So this is the mechanism that I was hinting a while ago, the creation of the Food Safety Regulation Coordinating Board. So the role of the FSRCB is to oversee the integration of food safety systems. So we have as well the crisis management and the establishment of the rapid alert system for food and feed. And FSRCB is composed by, which is in the next slide, the following, another one, by chaired none other than by the DOH Secretary. Our alternate chair is the FDA Director General. The co-chair is our DA Secretary. Alternate co-chair is DA Undersecretary for Policy and Planning. And the members are the heads of the food safety regulatory agencies of the DA, the Director of Center for Food Regulation and Research of FDA, from DILG with the rank of Director. The LGUs are represented as well, heads of leagues of barangays, municipalities, cities, and provinces. DTI with the rank of Director, and of course, the Department of Science and Technology with the rank of a Director. So we highly acknowledge the value of the Department of Science and Technology in its involvement in food safety. That's why none other than a Director rank. Formerly, this is from the Food and Nutrition Research Institute. And recently, yes, the DOST actually attended our 8th FSRCB meeting, which was concluded on March 24, 2021, and was attended by none other than Director Imelda Agdepa. So that's the crucial role of DOST in assuring innovative technologies in the field of food safety. So next slide, please. And we now go to the one of the heart of the Food Safety Act is the putting the responsibility in assuring food safety for the food business operator. So who are the food business operators according to the law? These are the people engaged in the food business, including the agents and those that are responsible for ensuring that the requirements of the act are met by the food businesses under one's control. So we have again summarized what are the responsibilities of food business operators. In the next slide, we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 summarized role and responsibility of food business operators. So first and foremost is the component on safety. Next slide. Operators shall not place on the market unsafe food. So there is that assumption of acknowledgement of that responsibility of the food business operators. That of course, that food products or any food that will be placed on the market should be free from any contamination, free from pests, free from diseases, and so forth. So as to ensure that our countrymen, our consumers, will be consuming safe food. So next slide. Okay, the second provision is responsibility, which basically says that operators are responsible for the safety of the food they produce, transport, store, or sell. Next slide. Ensuring that food satisfies the requirements of food law and that control systems are in place to, number one, prevent, number two, eliminate, and three, reduce risk to consumers. And we have tools that we use in order to achieve these goals that we have mentioned. We have GMP for the agricultural sector. We have good agricultural practices, GAHAP, and risk management plan. For the another responsibility of food business operators is designation of a food safety compliance officer. So it is envisioned by the law that every food business operation must employ at least a food safety compliance officer with the following uh, provisions. So for the micro and small enterprises, the owner may serve as the FSCO or a consultant FSCO, may be employed on part-time or full-time basis. This is acknowledging the limitations of this sector. So we have set training modules for micro and small enterprises in order to partially comply with our laws requirement. And for large and medium scale food business operations, they shall designate an FSCO who is preferably a graduate of food related courses. So what are the roles of the FSCO? Number one is oversee the implementation of the food safety programs and activities. And they must be sufficiently trained through a course recognized by DA or DOH. So um, yes, currently we are undergoing the finalization of the um, guidelines for recognition of our FSCOs. And the next provision is traceability. Operators should be able to rapidly identify any supplier or consignee. So at the heart of our regulatory processes is there must be an assumption of our responsibility to ensure that traceability mechanisms are in place. So we are envisioning the next slide, please. The one step forward, one step backward approach. So this is the minimum requirement that we envision. And of course, in the heart of traceability is the role of documentation to ensure that we can years or months after an incident, we still have the records to verify what are the sources and the raw materials and where did those products that are implicated, for example, in an outbreak, are distributed to. So next. Transparency, of course. Operators shall immediately inform the FSRAs if they have any reason to believe that their food is not safe. So it is said in the Food Safety Act that um, operators shouldn't hide what problems they are encountering with our regulators because we the regulators are here to help you contain the problem and prevent our countrymen. At the end of the day, it's our goal to prevent consumers from getting any unsafe food. So we must work hand in hand, and transparency is key in this endeavor. So in line with transparency, when problems arises, emergency protocols must be in place. So this includes product recall or product withdrawal from the market if you have any reason to believe that any food that you produce or distribute is not safe. And of course, prevention. So we have the worst case or rather the negative side at first, but we do have tools in place to prevent this from occurring, which identify the critical points in our processes and ensure that controls are applied at this point. So we have HACCP, hazard analysis critical control point, and we have GMP and other tools that we can use to really prevent any unsafe food from reaching our consumers. And last but not the least, responsibility of food business operators is you must cooperate with our competent authorities in actions taken to reduce risk. So this includes complying with our regulations and applying certificate of product registration, applying for license to operate, and promoting safe use of codes of practices and so forth. So we must cooperate with the competent authorities. So these are the competent authorities that we have. First and foremost are the Department of Agriculture and Department of Health. We also have the local government units working hand in hand with DILG, DOST, and DTI. So the last important feature, of course, of the Food Safety Act is strengthening of the penalties and sanctions for violative acts by both the food business operators and the government. So what are the prohibited acts according to the Food Safety Act? So produce, handle, offer for sale, distribute, or import food or food product non-conformant to any food standards and food or food products declared as banned. So the next is misbranding, mislabeling, and adulteration. Next will be refusal of access of entry of inspection of FSRAs, those instances where the establishment doesn't want FDA inspectors or LGU inspectors to enter their premises to conduct inspection. So we are empowered by our laws, the Food Safety Act, RA 9711, the FDA Act of 2009, and the local ordinances to enter the premises of our food business operator. So refusal for access is a violation. It's a prohibited act. Okay, the next is failure to comply to recall orders. So when we say that you must recall, with due process, of course, and you failed to conduct a recall, which can probably result to foodborne disease outbreaks, then that's a prohibited act. Operating without appropriate authorization. So definitely securing the proper certificates and licenses is crucial, and it espouses compliance with our regulations. That is why operating without such is a violation. And we have the connivance aspect. So if any information regarding graft or corruption, connivance, resulting to bias and unfair, not transparent actions from the industry and the government, this is definitely penalizable, and it's a prohibited act under the Food Safety Act. And if you read the whole law, there are certain provisions there that if you violate according to the prohibited act portion, violate the IRR of the act, it is a prohibited act. So next slide. And this is the summary of our penalties and sanctions. I usually don't want to delve into this because we don't want to go at this part. But for the sake of our Food Safety Act, it must be presented. And for us to appreciate what we are going to face if we violate the laws of the FDA or the Department of Agriculture. For first conviction, we range from a fine of 50,000 and 100,000, suspension of our authorization, and for the second, 100 to 200,000, suspension for 3 months of our authorization. For the third conviction, 200 to 300,000, suspension for 6 months. And we now go to the serious cases where violation results to slight physical injury. 200 to 300,000, suspension for 6 months, and hospitalization and rehabilitation of those individuals that were affected. Violation resulting in less serious to serious physical injury, 200 to 300,000, suspension for 12 months, hospitalization and rehabilitation. Violation resulting to death, 300 to 500,000, permanent revocation and imprisonment. So the Food Safety Act has penal provisions. We do have criminal cases that we can pass aside from administrative cases. So for these violations, we don't want definitely to lead to a case that we have a consumer that died from our product. So definitely we have to learn, we have to study, and this forum is one of those venue where you can be oriented on what regulations FDA are enforcing, what standards you can refer to, and what other information you could coordinate with us in order for us to prevent all of this from happening. So with that, I close my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, just email us at cfr@fda.gov.ph or foodsafety@fda.gov.ph. For any query, clarification, or information on the Food Safety Act, you could always email us.
Thank you so much, Sir Tim. Thank you for that presentation. Very brief, very concise po, no, kompleto. We have for safety, we have for the responsibility. You have also mentioned traceability, transparency, emergency, prevention, cooperation. Thank you so much, Sir Tim. And you are correct when you said that we really have to learn and we have to continually study. We have to learn, we have to relearn, unlearn things. So, salamat po. Thank you, Sir Tim. So, if you have any questions for Sir Tim, we have our question and answer portion later on after our talk. Okay, so you may type in your questions in the Q&A chat box here in the Zoom room. And for those who are watching us through the Facebook Live, you are also free to message us. Just type in the comment section your questions. So let us continue para tuloy-tuloy ang momentum natin. Now, to share with us, to continue the presentation is Ms. Mary Joy Palim, the registration section of the FDA Center for Food Regulation and Research. Ms. Palim is a Food Drug Regulation Officer 3 under registration section of the Center for Food Regulation and Research, Licensing and Registration Division. She has been a checker or a supervisor of food product evaluations for over 6 years. Further, she is part of the technical support or ad hoc technical working group in the improvement of the electronic portal system for the registration of processed and pre-packaged food products. She also represents the country in the ASEAN Consultative Committee on Standards and Quality Product Working Group on Prepared Foodstuff. Congratulations po, Ms. Pauline. So without any further ado, I am now turning over the virtual floor to Ms. Pauline. Over to you, ma'am. Good morning po.
Morning. Thank you, Ms. Diane. And very good morning to everyone. And I hope I'm clear. My voice is clear.
Yes po, clear.
Okay. Yes, and I am here to present the process and requirements for food product registration. And this product registration comes after the applicant have secured a valid FDA-issued license to operate. In my presentation, I will be going over the online application form, incorporating the requirements and reminders in filling out this form. We had a recent change in the system we use for registration. This is in compliance with Republic Act 11032, otherwise known as the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Delivery Act of 2018 and our new Citizens Charter 2021. In this FDA Circular number 2020-033, or the procedure for the use of the modified electronic registration system for raw materials and prepackaged processed food products that repeals FDA Circular number 2016-014 was issued on February 26, 2021, and it was implemented on March 8, 2021. So it's just recent. This circular provides detailed guidance on how to apply for and obtain CPR using modified e-portal version 2. And in this circular, it has an Annex D which shows the table for reference guide to stakeholders to assess compliance of submitted documents as complete requirements for product registration based on FDA regulations. This guide shows the documentary requirements based on each risk category, the raw materials, low, medium, and high risk food products. And in this modified e-portal version 2, it is still accessible through the same link as the old portal. https://eportal.fda.gov.ph. Here are the steps in filing registration application through the modified ePortal version 2. The applicant company first fills out the online application form, uploads the documentary requirements, and assigns the application to pre-assessment. Upon checking of completeness of submission of documentary requirements, a system-generated email notification stating complete or incomplete documentary requirements will be sent to the ePortal account holder. If the pre-assessed application has incomplete submission of documentary requirements, then the applicant will file another application, encode information, and upload all documents again, including documents for compliance to notice of deficiencies using a new case number. This new application is subject to another pre-assessment to ensure completeness of documentary requirements. If the pre-assessed application has complete submission of documentary requirements, then the client will pay the corresponding registration fee. Filing of application for registration starts with the date of posting of payment by the FDA cashier. And then upon posting of payment, a system-generated email notification with attached acknowledgement receipt will be sent to the ePortal account holder. CFRR will then process the registration application within 20 working days. This includes evaluation, checking, and approval of application. An email notification stating the approval or denial of application will be sent to the ePortal account holder. If the application is approved, the applicant company's account holder receives approved application in their ePortal account inbox, where they can download the system-generated CPR. And then here, the printing of CPR will be the responsibility of the client. CFRR will no longer print CPR of approved applications. If the application is denied, the applicant company's account holder can download the letter of denial, LOD, in their email inbox or in their ePortal account inbox. And then for approved amendment application, an email notification showing amendment summary table will be sent to the ePortal account holder. To start, so to access the modified ePortal version 2, the applicant must secure a user account. The user account issued and validated by CFRR through the old portal does not need to request for a new user account. Only applicants without an existing CFRR user account shall secure a new user account. The ePortal user account is company specific, both the account and the password. And then the representative handling multiple companies shall secure a separate user account and password for each representative respective company. In here, the applicant shall send a request for a user account to cfrr@fda.gov.ph following the format as shown on the screen with the scanned notarized authorization letter. And then the CFRR ePortal user account shall be sent to the email provided in the request, so the password and the user name. The validity of this user account is the same as its LTO validity. The applicant shall renew the user account at least 90 days prior to expiration of user account by sending an email to cfrr@fda.gov.ph and following the same format as shown in the screen. In case of problems with username or password, the owner of the applicant company shall send an email to cfrr@fda.gov.ph following the same format and attaching the scanned copy of the notarized affidavit of undertaking to request retrieval of username and or password of the account. So to file a registration application, you should access the online portal through the link https://eportal.fda.gov.ph. The company account holder shall use the account of the market authorization letter of the product being applied for registration. The market authorization holder shall be the primary responsible for filing and securing CPR applications, safety and continuing compliance of the product with applicable rules and regulations of FDA. And then once approved, the market authorization holder or the manufacturer of this product will be reflected in the CPR. And then to log in, provide the username and password of the market authorization letter and then click login. Click new case and choose food product registration EODB application form under the electronic registration folder and then select start case to begin a new application. Please read and understand the declaration before proceeding the application process. This declaration conveys a binding agreement between the applicant and the FDA to provide complete and accurate information, assuming full responsibility for the safety of the product being registered, with an undertaking to comply with all applicable rules and regulations. Click Yes, I agree button to continue the registration process. If the user fails to do so, access to the e-portal shall be denied. Then select initial if you are intending to apply for an initial application and then click next. If your product is for renewal application of a previously approved registration application from the old portal, select renewal and then provide the correct food registration number, old case number of the previously approved registration application, date of issue, and the validity of the CPR. For amendment application of a previously approved registration application from the old portal, select amendment, and then same with the renewal, provide the correct food registration number, old case number of the previously approved registration application, date of issue, and the validity of the CPR. For this amendment and renewal data capture applications, the modified ePortal version 2 will automatically capture all uploaded documents from the old portal provided that the account used is the same and the provided old case number is correct. This is not applicable to amendment application to change MAH or the market authorization holder since this should be applied using a new user account. Note that the modified portal will not capture all uploaded documents from the old portal if companies will not use their existing user accounts and if they will not provide the correct case number of their previously approved applications in the old portal. And amendment and renewal application shall be filed within 6 months prior to expiration of CPR. For the application of a previously denied initial registration application from the old portal, you must select reapplication. Provide the old case number or the application number of the previously denied application. And then note that the modified portal will not capture all uploaded documents from the old portal for application data capture applications. The applicant will need to re-upload all initially submitted documents along with the documents for compliance to the deficiencies. Fill out all necessary information in all caps except for trademark, corporate de facto, and email address. All data entries with red asterisk are mandatory fields. The application will not proceed to the next step upon clicking continue if not all mandatory fields are filled out. Select the correct food categorization, and you may refer to the risk classification of food products on Annex A of Administrative Order number 2014-0029 for your reference. The declaration of brand name and product name shall be consistent with the submitted label. Brand name should not be misleading, confusing, and likely create erroneous impression regarding its character or nature in any respect. For those brand name with a registered trademark or with an IPO certificate, the symbol TM or R must be declared and a trademark or IPO certificate must be submitted. Product name shall indicate the true nature of the food, and normally it will be specific and not generic. Next is the declaration of the company name and address. This should be consistent with the declaration in the valid LTO or the license to operate. Select the desired number of years for the applied registration application from 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, except for food supplements which are fixed at 2 years for initial applications. Then if the product being applied for registration is a sweetened beverage, select yes, and then provide the food registration number of the previous formulation for reformulated sweetened beverage products. And then for the contact information, you are required to declare a minimum of 2 contact information in the form of telephone and mobile number. For companies with LTO activity as importer, distributor, choose the option importer, wholesaler, distributor as the company activity. This should be consistent with the license to operate number declared in the data entry under food product application form. And then determine the correct country of origin of the product being imported. You may refer to the guide statement regarding the definition of the country of origin by hovering your mouse to the question mark. Choose yes if the product is directly sourced and no if otherwise. If the product is directly sourced, it was imported directly from the manufacturer in the country of origin of the product. If not, the product was imported through a middleman or the supplier. Choose the file to attach. Click choose file to attach any of the following scanned copy of the original documents issued by the regulatory or health authority of the country of origin or of source. It may be either valid manufacturer's certificate of registration with GMP compliance or its equivalent, valid sanitary phytosanitary certificate or health certificate, valid ISO 22000 certification, valid HACCP certificate, or a certificate of pre-sale. For companies with LTO as distributor wholesaler, choose the option distributor wholesaler as the company activity, and this also should be consistent with the LTO number declared in the data entry under food product application form. Similarly, click choose file to attach any of the following scanned copy of the original documents issued to the applicant company by the establishment from which it sources the products it sells. It may be in the form of valid notarized distributorship agreement or letter of appointment between the applicant and the FDA licensed source. For companies with LTO activity as trader, choose the option trader as the company activity, which should be consistent with the LTO number declared in the data entry in the food product application form. And then similarly, click choose file and then attach the documents. For products sourced from the supplier or manufacturer, upload the second copy of the valid and notarized toll manufacturing agreement or repacking agreement with the FDA licensed toll manufacturer and repacker. For directly sourced products, declare the complete name and address of the manufacturer. For products not directly sourced, declare the complete name and address of the supplier and the manufacturer. For applications with multiple suppliers, declare the complete name and address of the supplier separated by a semicolon. For companies with LTO activity as manufacturer, just choose manufacturer as the company activity, and this should also be consistent with the LTO number declared in the food application form. Just click Next to continue the application. The list of ingredients, you must declare all ingredients in descending order of proportion. For multi-component ingredients like non-dairy creamer, you must indicate the phrase as follows in parentheses after the ingredient and declare each specific component also in parentheses. For an example, non-dairy creamer as follows, and then in the next data entry, you should declare the first component, and then and the next data entry, you should declare the second component. Non-declaration of the specific components of multi-component ingredients is one of the major causes of denial in food product registration. So as a reminder for food additives, indicate their common and functional name. For an example, citric acid, and then open parenthesis, acidity regulator, and then close parenthesis. All food additives, which includes colors, must conform with the updated list of food additives and or the latest general standard for food additives based on Bureau Circular 2006-016, Administrative Order 88-A series of 1984, and Administrative Order 2014-0029. Administrative Order 88-A series of 1984 and Table 7 of Bureau Circular 2006-016 shows the list of enzymes permitted for use in food in general in accordance with GMP or Good Manufacturing Practice. In addition to the permitted processing aids listed in AO 88A series of 1984, you may also refer to the Inventory of Processing Aids database developed by Codex Committee of Food Additives through the link https://ipa.cfsa.net.cm. Then for food flavors, these food flavors must be listed in Flavors and Extracts Manufacturers Association or FEMA, International Organization of the Flavor Industry, IOFI, or generally recognized safe list or the latest FDA regulation on food additives. In this product description, declare the appropriate product description of the food, including type of packing medium, form, or style, and the condition or type of treatment it has undergone. As an example, canned Spanish-style tuna chunks, pickled cucumber in brine, dried fish, frozen corn kernel, or milk powder. In declaring the product specifications for physical, chemical, and microbiological parameters, ensure the completeness and accuracy of the details, since this shall be verified later during the post-market surveillance. You may also provide the physical specifications of the product, though it is not mandatory. Ensure the completeness and accuracy of the details for the parameters and specifications. So the physical, chemical, and microbiological specifications in coherence with the local and international standards such as Philippine national standards, administrative orders, and other relevant issuances. In the absence of product standard, the specifications indicated in the data entry should be consistent with the submitted analysis or the test results. And then here, click Next to continue the application to the next step. And then declare the shelf life of the product and the type of shelf life study conducted. Under packaging materials, declare the primary and the secondary packaging and its corresponding shelf life of the product for each packaging materials. For products with different or multiple packaging material and shelf life, please use semicolon to separate or delineate declaration in the data entry. The declared packaging material in the data entry shall be specific and consistent with the submitted pictures of the product. You may provide the details on storage requirements, function of food material, which is applicable to food additives and ingredients only, source of allergen, lot code and interpretation, and open date marking or expiry date. For food supplement, declare the recommended usage of the product per day. For an example, 1 tablet once a day. In attaching product labels and other documentary requirements, make sure that all information is reflected clearly and accurately. Limit the total size of attachments to 25 MB with a limit of 2 MB per file using the format .png or .pdf. Refer to Annex D for the reference guide to assess the completeness of submission of requirements for food product registration. Product labels in commercial presentation shall be scanned clearly, reflecting all sides with complete information and shall be named accordingly, indicating the appropriate net weight for multiple packaging sizes. Please note that when scanning documents for upload, preferably use the 150 by 150 dpi setting. Check its clarity for the label information before uploading the labels and pictures of the product. The label information must be clear and readable when zoomed in. Please be reminded that you may only upload documents in .png and .pdf format only. For products for export market, upload purchasing order, request for quotation or valid notarized agreement signed by the importing and exporting parties of the importing country for verification purposes only. For nutrition and health claims declared on the labels, this must be supported by relevant documents like scientific researches. Following Bureau Circular 2007-002 or the guidelines in the use of nutrition and health claims in food. Upload these documents under these documentary requirements for justification of those claims. If there is IPO, trademark, and or other logo or seal on the label, certification must be submitted. And then for products with halal or organic claims on the label, provide their certificate number and certifying body. And then also upload the scanned copy of the certificate. All certificates of analysis submitted must be issued within 12 months from the date of filing of the application or the date of payment. And then for initial application of food supplement, one representative sample in commercial presentation consistent with the registration application shall be submitted to Food and Drug Action Center or FDAC at 3rd floor Star Mall, Alabang, Muntinlupa City before continuing the application to pre-assessment through either personal delivery to FDAC or delivery via registered courier. And then if you need to upload more documents, just click continue to proceed to the next step where you may review and upload additional documents. For products with novel food or those ingredients that are used in a different way for a new use, additional documents shall be submitted to address uncertainties on its safety of use in food. This may be in the form of specific scientific researches or studies published in peer-reviewed scientific journals with other relevant supporting documents such as certificate of analysis to substantiate these claims. You may also refer to scientific outputs from publications of internationally recognized body like European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, and National Center for Biotechnology Information, or NCBI, or food standards set by Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO, and US FDA Code of Federal Regulations. Here, click Attach button to upload more documents. Please be reminded that the delete function is only available to initial amendment data capture application, renewal data capture application, and reapplication data capture applications. You can use this delete function to remove wrongly uploaded documents. and then click next to continue the application. And then to proceed the application to pre-assessment, just click continue. If your application is an amendment of a previously approved product filed through the old portal, then you will need to fill out the amendment form. The types of amendment listed on the modified e-portal version 2 are shown on the screen. Select all desired amendment types and upload the commentary requirements based on AO 2014-0029. You may also refer to the Annex V of FDA Circular 2020-033 for the general requirements for each of these amendment types, and then click next to continue. You may review and upload additional documents under documentary requirements step, and then the delete function in this step is only available to data capture applications or amendment data capture applications. And then click next to proceed and forward the application to pre-assessment. Once the application is approved, the system-generated CPR may be downloaded by accessing your ePortal user account. Open the case number in your inbox folder and download the CPR for printing. The sample system-generated CPR is shown on the screen, having QR code as its security function. The CPR remarks is indicated at the second page of the CPR. So at the lowest portion of the second page. As a reminder, here are the criteria to determine complete submission of documents. An approved pre-assessment does not automatically mean that the product will be issued a CPR. And then a processed food product application for registration could be approved only if it conforms to all of the following requirements. Number 1, correct e-portal account consistent with the applicant company. Second, valid license to operate. A valid license to operate and approved product line is a prerequisite to food product registration. For locally manufactured products, the product being applied should be included in the list of products and or product line in the LTO. If there is an existing application for LTO variation to include product line, the applicant company should wait for its approval before proceeding to submit application for pre-assessment. Otherwise, this will be a ground for denial of the application. And then number 3, clear, valid, and readable uploaded documents with integrity. For applications, completeness and accuracy of uploaded documents for compliance to mention deficiencies in the letter of denial are assessed during the pre-assessment. And then number 4, accurate and complete data entry declaration consistent with uploaded documents. 5th, compliance of the product being applied with requirements as stipulated in the new CFR Citizens Charter based on existing rules and regulation, such as FDA Circular 2020-033, AO 2014-0029, FDA Circular 2013-010, AO 2014-0030, AO 88A Series of 1984, Bureau Circular 2006-016, Bureau Circular 2007-002, or standards of identity based on FDA regulations and all other applicable existing regulations. You may refer to Annex D of FDA Circular 2020-033 to determine if a particular documentary requirement conforms to FDA regulations. And that ends my presentation, and thank you for listening. Ms. Dayan.
Hello po. Thank you so much po. Maraming salamat po, Ms. Marge. Thank you for that enlightening talk. At may mga nakikita nga po kong chat na pwede daw ba silang humingi ng kopya ng presentations nyo. So, later po, para po sa ating participants here in the Zoom, you would be receiving a copy of their presentations po if if you would allow po, ma'am, kung okay lang po ba sa inyo, we have actually a copy of your presentation. So we will just be uploading this to our website. So for you to have the link of these presentations, you would need to answer po the customer satisfactory feedback. Okay? So ito po ay pwede niyo pong sagutan right after our forum today. You would be receiving a link to the customer satisfaction feedback. Okay? Tapos after po nun, you would be receiving also your certificates together with the link doon po sa ating mga PowerPoint presentations na ating speakers. And also, if you would be asking, paano naman kaming mga nasa Facebook Live, don't worry, we got you. We would be flashing later on your screens a QR code. Just scan it po, and then it would lead you to the CSF. I-answer nyo lang po ito, and then you would also be receiving your certificate, and you would also receive a link to the copy po ng presentations po ng ating speakers for today. So I hope na that makes you happy and excited po, because you would get a copy of our speakers' presentations. Now, we have seen that a lot of questions were already typed in our Zoom chat box, and we have already generated these questions po, inayos po namin. So this time, I would like to invite in our virtual floor our esteemed guest. May I call on Ms. Pilar Marilyn Pagayunan, the Director of the FDA Center for Food Regulation and Research. She is the Director of the FDA Center for Food Regulation and Research since 2015. She has over 2 decades worth of extensive experience in food safety regulatory systems of our country, having represented the institution from national and international commitments and committees, including ASEAN, Codex Alimentarius, among others. Concurrently, she is serving as a Vice Chair to the DOH Biosafety Committee, alternate to the Secretary for the National Dairy Authority Board, and member to the National Organic Agriculture. So good morning po, Director Pilar.
Good morning po din sa lahat, and Diane, and to all our colleagues from the DOST. We shared with our partner in this forum. So I hope that in today's forum, our researchers and other attendees to this will able to give, FDA was able to give some information important to the processed food industry. And we hope that we were able to manage all the questions that they will be given to us. But in the event that we cannot right away finish all the questions, I think we can send them on the response if we cannot right away find the answer to the questions that they were able to raise. Thank you very much, and good morning once again. Thanks.
Thank you po, Director. Yes, nabanggit na po ni Director, if there would be questions, of course, in the interest of time, you only have until 11 to cater these questions. So if there would be questions that would not be answered live here, alam ko po that our friends from FDA are very much willing to answer that after our program. And may I also invite in our virtual floor Mr. Timothy Moises Mendoza. Can you please join us, as well as Ms. Mary Joy Pauline? May I also invite Industrial Technology Development Division, ITDD, Engineer Nina Liza Escorial. Okay. Good morning po. Good morning po, Ma'am Nins.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so si Sir Tim, I hope that Sir Tim can come and join us. Okay, ito po, madami-daming mga tanong ito. So this only tells us that our participants are really interested about everything that we have discussed. At sige po, i-address ko na lang po kung sino po ang pwedeng sumagot ng question na ito, but please feel free to answer kung gusto niyo pong sagutan. So let's have our first question. This is from our Zoom participant. And this is addressed to Ma'am Marilyn. Ang question niya po, for functional food products with efficacy in vitro and in vivo studies during R&D, what is FDA's stand on indicating health benefits in their labels or claiming health indications once in the market?
Okay, I think Mary Jo was able to, because in the application for product registration, there's a health claim, right? Nutrition claim, this is a reduction claim. So the guidelines of FDA is we are following, we adapted through the Bureau Circular 2000, number 2 series of, I forget the number, but we are adapting the codex standard for the health and nutrition claims. So I think because it's a food product, so there's a guidelines there that you cannot claim just like what you are claiming for the drugs, products under drugs. So there's a format that you have to follow and then the in vitro, the one that was mentioned, I think that would support the claims of the company. So upon registration, they have to upload all the requirements. It should be peer-reviewed, scientific literature, etc. And when you claim, because it's a food, so you have to remember the rationale in terms of like maybe, because sometimes in our experience there's a claim, but then again you need to consider the safety of the product and yung gaano karami iinumin to exhibit that claim, right? Because baka mamaya just to show just to prove na merong ganun, but you have to consume large amount, which is hindi siya kaano-ano katanggap-tanggap in a way, because food, you have to eat a variety of foods, right? And hindi naman zero lang ang pagkain mo sa isang product category or isang klaseng product. That's why you have to eat a variety of foods. Pag ikaw ay medyo bata, pag ikaw naman ay medyo may edad na, magiging choosy ka na, diba? So that's, I think, the general response to the question. So just check with the Codex Guidelines on Health and Nutrition Claims that FDA has adopted. And then, yun, consideration, nakalagay naman doon kung ano yung i-consider when you have such claims sa label po. Kasi that's part of when you put something in the market, part of our evaluation is the label. I mean, diba, yung marami silang mga claims in the market, there's a lot, but sometimes, right now kasi ang product registration is mandatory na for all products, even if it's locally manufactured. And more importantly, pag imported. In the past kasi, before the 9711, it's only mandatory pag imported ang certificate of product registration. And pag local, unless you advertise, you export, then that's the time it becomes mandatory. But now, with the 9711 signing into the law, all processed food product, raw materials, kaya yun yung pinakita ni Mary Joy na, diba, masyadong nakakahingal yung presentation ni Mary Joy. If you are new to the system or to the new process of applying CPR, I know for industry maybe they are well versed already, but for the researchers, I think hindi naman sila mag-apply. I mean, yun yung aking paningin po. So I hope I was able to respond to the question.
Thank you po, Director. So para po sa ating mga viewers, all you have to do is to check on the Codex standards. So yun po ang standards po natin. Okay. Na ina-adapt. So thank you po, Director. Now to our second question. This is addressed to Sir Tim. This is a question from Miss Shiba Ikan from our Zoom room. Ano-ano po ang required trainings to become an FSCO? Kailangan po ba accredited institution ng FDA ang nagbigay ng training, Sir Tim?
Currently po, no, the draft guidelines is still not yet finalized. So let's await for the issuance of that guidelines. But just to, I guess, give an overview of the trainings, no, for an FSCO, especially for the food processing sector. Of course, we must have the GMP, basic knowledge on GMP. The QPIRA training of FDA must also be attended. So these are the fundamentals, the fundamental food safety and food processing trainings. But for the specifics, I would have to defer muna from disclosing all of it until such guidelines are finalized. So na-park lang po siya ng konti because of the pandemic, but we have been reviving yung pushing through of that guidelines. And if I'm not mistaken, boss, nag-conduct tayo ng online public consultation regarding that, right?
I think for now, in the past, I think before, I think they have to attend the QPIRA, but it's no longer required, right? So any food safety training can be a parang source na, or can be considered in the issuance of the LTO, or as kung ikaw ay food business operators, yung kahit may isa doon na may training on any, like GMP you mentioned, HACCP, so any food safety training. Kasi wala pa nga yung guidelines, diba? So for the meantime, pwede naman na kahit sino pa muna ang nagbigay, kasi we will be having a list of accredited na training provider, diba? Based on the Food Safety Act. And I think it's the lead doon is DOST, diba? FNRI. No. For the training, list training provider. So far po, kahit wala naman pang specific, kasi the guidelines is still not yet finalized. So thank you.
All right, sige po. So for now, pwede kayong mag-attend ng mga trainings regarding that. But we would be looking forward to receiving that guidelines po para at least we know sino po yung mga accredited training providers. Thank you, Sir Tim. Thank you, Director. Next question for Ma'am Means. Somebody anonymous from Zoom. Sabi po niya, is DOST-PCIEERD willing to encourage and fund the training? Magandang tanong po ito, no? To fund the training and FDA certification of project leaders or technology innovators or project staff.
Hi, Dayan. Usually naman, ang ating mga projects, di ba may mga training components yan? Yung mga training that are necessary for the delivery of the output of the projects, they could put in a certain amount for training. So as ang importante lang, they really identify that training is really necessary for the delivery of the output of the project. So it could be part of the funding for that particular project.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Nin. So, para sa lahat po ng mga gustong mag-submit na kanilang proposals, it is one of the benefits po, hindi lang ma-deliver yung inyong mga outputs, but then at the same time you can also get a chance to be trained, and that can be taken care of PCIEERD po, as long as it is part of your project for the delivery of your output. So we're happy to know that PCIEERD can fund those kind of trainings related to the project. Okay, next question we have, this question is addressed to all the panelists. Sige po, kung sino na lang po ang gustong unang sumagot. Hold on, my Excel is loading. Okay, sabi po dito, is FDA willing to send specialists to partner as consultants during the development of new products? Willing daw po ba si FDA na mag-send ng consultant or partner po when developing a product? Meron po bang gustong mag-take ng question na to?
Bawal, I mean, we are, di ba sa FDA kami are government employee, how can we have a consultancy? So I think what we are doing right now is for every, I think we share this inviting somebody from FDA pag nagre-review po ng mga proposal. So doon, but not really being a consultant. Kasi parang ano yan conflict of interest, something like that. So ang matutulong namin is ano ba yung mga regulation, ano. So this one is a way of informing maybe yun nga yung sinasabi niyo po doon sa pag-develop ng product, and they can always naman send query kung ano po yung concern nila, but not as consultant. Unless mag-retire po si Steve, ako, si Marge, pero ayokong mag-consultant. Joke.
So, okay, Diane, to add yung sagot into that, actually si Picard, tama si Ma'am Marlene, when we do a panel evaluation and we see the need for FDA to advise us on a particular project or particular product, we always invite them. Para we make sure din na tama yung direction ng product, whether nasasagot ba yung compliance and everything. So we always invite FDA as part of our technical panel of experts.
Yes.
There, may I offer an answer? This is Rowena Guevara.
Go, Ma'am Gab. Go ahead po.
Thank you. Kasi we encountered the same question from vaccine manufacturers na gusto nila handhold sila ng FDA from the very beginning. But then we understand that FDA as the regulator has to maintain arm's length with those that they are regulating. Hindi pwedeng makisalamuha sila sa ating mga researchers. So to that end, ang ginawa natin at with the help of FDA trained DOST personnel, DTI personnel, and the DFA, Department of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade specialists on how to do GMP. So para ang mag-a-advise ngayon dito sa mga vaccine manufacturers would be DTI, DOST, FDA, DFA. Pero trinain ng FDA yung DTI, DOST at saka DFA. So in the same manner, kung gusto talaga ng mga researchers natin ito, siguro we can have the regional offices and maybe even PCIEERD trained by FDA para hindi naman natin gagawing consultants ang FDA at masisira yung kanilang mandate na sila ang regulator Hindi talaga sila pwedeng maging consultant.
Yes,
Thank you.
Ma'am, to add on to that, sundan ko na rin po yung sagot ni Ma'am Geb. Actually, meron din tayong mga food safety teams sa mga regions. So actually, yung training naman nila are kumbaga okay na with a blessing naman yun ng FDA dati, yung mga training materials na ginamit nila. So yung mga R&D institutes or even yung ating mga SMEs could also tap the food safety teams in the region na pwedeng tumulong dun sa kanila in terms of this compliance, especially kung mga LTO po, GMP, and HACCP. Yun po yung pwedeng itulong ng ating mga food safety teams in the region.
At saka, idagdag ko lang din po, yung meron kasi mga schedule of training na hinahandle ng FDA Academy. So merong license to operate, merong itong ang webinar. We just have our webinar on the new version of the e-portal last March 31. So kumbaga, in the past, I think they have to attend sa hotels, ganyan. Ngayon yata parang libre na kasi webinar. So I think there is scheduled parang hindi siya training ba or training na ba yun or parang seminar. The virtual then for the license to operate this parang next week ba yun? So I think ang check na lang po nila sa website ng FDA. I think the FDA Academy meron silang schedule for the whole year kung anong mga available training. So, yun, training yun. Unless na ang training mo naman is how to inspect, hindi naman, I mean, hindi, ang inspection naman is unless diniligate ng FDA, it's our mandate, di ba? So, yung mga, ano lang, yung when you say training, information, how to secure license to operate, how to secure certificate of product registration. Actually, may in addition din po, parang may MOU ba kami with the PITC ba yun? PITC regarding the yung trainings ng mga how to secure LTO. So pina-approve nila yung kanilang mga module or yung training materials sa FDA po para si PITC na Philippine Trade Training ngayon under ng DTI yung nagbibigay ng mga training sa mga food establishment din po. So I think there are other ways naman how we can reach out to those individuals na relative to food business. Thank you.
All right. Thank you po. Thank you po, Director. Thank you po, Ma'am Nins. And also, of course, Yusek Guevara. Thank you po, Ma'am Gev, for adding clarity to that question. So, meron naman po tayong mga trained PCIEERD sa mga DOST regional offices po natin. Meron po tayong mga trained people ng FDA para po matulungan po kayo. So we work hand in hand po. So our next question. So this is addressed to, again, all the panelists. We would love to hear again from Ma'am Nins and anybody from our FDA. So ang tanong po, how do DOST and FDA address new or novel food ingredients developed by universities and other government research institutes in terms of product enlisting, particularly that these units that develop novel ingredients have no LTO? Who would like to go first po? Meron po bang, how do DOST and FDA address this, yung mga food novel ingredients na wala pa pong LTO?
Okay. Dayan, siguro I could speak pagdating doon sa R&D part, no?
Alright.
LTO kasi usually na isang universities or than RDIs, lagi namin sinasabi, it should be the commitment of that particular agency to make sure na fit yung kanilang laboratories or yung kanilang facility to do the R&D. Now, in terms of R&D for novel technologies, we always require them, even from the evaluation stage pa lang, na nire-require na namin o hinahanap namin kung ano yung mga standards that technology should comply with. So kung food safety standards ba siya, toxicity ba siya, or any standards na kinakailangan nilang i-follow, we make sure that is already part of the research that they will be doing. So on that aspect, pag natapos yung project, we just like to make sure na yung product nila is safe and will follow yung mga regulatory or standards that we know. So kung wala sa Philippines, we also say na gamitin nila yung codex standards. Yung po dun sa LTO, yun nga, we always say that yung the compliance of the facility should be the counterpart of the particular implementing agency. So that's on the R&D part. Maybe Ma'am Pilar could add into to that.
So if there are researchers or innovative na mga products that how would FDA know, right? So I mean, unless na you inform FDA, because we are also into issuance na ng mga certificate of product registration, license to operate to those mga companies. So on the part naman ng mga nagre-research, I would agree with Ma'am Nina kanina. So siguro kung on the part naman ng FDA, if you are trying or if you are starting research on innovative or novel ingredients, I think to me yung practical, maybe you can also request or ask our ano ba yung applicable regulations dito sa ganitong mga product, kasi at the end of the day naman, ano ba ang ating ina-assure, di ba? Safety. So, pag safety yon, so what is food safety? So, dapat walang mga hazards, di ba? Na chemical, physical, micro. O di kung may mga applicable standards na doon, ang FDA, then we can, pero kung wala naman, I think yung mga documents na isa-submit naman nila, kung mag-proceed na sila sa production, kasi nasa ka pa lang R&D eh. So doon, yung sinasabi ni Ma'am Nina, yun nga yung dapat as a researcher, you have to bear in mind, ano ba yung regulatory compliance that I have to do with this product. Pag then you can always ask FDA. So kung wala naman kami mga regulations, we can always evaluate safety. You can submit or you can pass or submit to us yung mga ano ba yung approval dito sa ibang bansa, sa other regulatory agency. So yun naman po yung currently na ginagawa namin if it's the product is So wala naman kami pang regulations on the novel food. I mean, just like EU, meron yata silang issuance tungkol doon. Pero nandun din sa aming list, if it's a novel ingredient, it's considered as high risk. So kanina nagbigay din naman ng information si Mary Joy kung ano yung possible na to address the uncertainty in terms of the safety of the product. So ayun, yun lang po yung masasabi ko. Kasi kung hindi naman namin alam, kasi nasa regulatory kami, tapos iba din yung mga academic, mga researchers. So I think we have to collaborate in terms of communicating. You communicate with us, then we can respond to the queries. So unless may masagot ka pa, Tim? Wala na si Tim.
I think you encapsulated it na, boss.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you po. Yes. Kung hindi sigurado, pwedeng magtanong. Sabi nga, huwag mahihiyang magtanong. So, pwede po kayo magtanong should you have any questions regarding that. So, next question po natin from the UPLB Biotech Colorant team. So, can we have this answered by Ma'am Marilyn? What is the current stand of FDA on use of synthetic colors? Ma'am Marilyn.
Synthetic colors. Synthetic is artificial ba yun? So, when it comes to colors, as mentioned earlier, our basis for the approval is Codex and that AO 88-1984. So, kung nakalista bang synthetic doon, Mary Joy? Kung hindi po siya, kasi there are hindi siya allowed. Di ba siya allowed ang synthetic?
Kung ano po yung listed, boss, na colors, synthetic or artificial din po. Kasi actually yung nasa codex din po, mga synthetic colors din. Tapos yung we may refer to the JECPA evaluations for the monographs just to be sure of its characteristics of its colors kung pasok siya sa standard as a food color po.
Oh, yun. Basta when it comes to food additive, the codex yung codex GSFA yung basis na kasi we also adopted that as hindi naman kami pwedeng magsarili ng I mean, even in the Food Safety Act, if you don't have local regulation, there's a provision there na you can adopt international standards, right? So parang hindi mo na kailangang i-reinvent kasi in terms of resources, wala namang resources tayo for to study. Tapos kung wala man dyan sa codex, then we check din naman doon sa substantiation ng gagamit and yun, i-evaluate natin kung paano, how it is being justified or how it is being used. So yun po.
Salamat po. Thank you po. So basta nandoon sa codex.
Yung GSFA code.
All right. Thank you po, Direk. For our next question, oops, sorry. Ang dami nating mga tanong. Talagang natutuwa naman po ako from our participants that you are all interested. You want your answers. You want answers to your questions. Okay, this time, question. There are times that the local FDA do not have set guidelines or standards for products. Example po, yung mga natural food colors. Thus, we are referred to other regulatory agencies or organizations like JETRO or USFDA. How do you reconcile differences between those agencies? Sino po kaya ang...
Mahirap yan ah. So, kung wala siya sa listahan ng codex, kasi that's I mean, ang FDA kasi is anchoring on the Food Safety Act there na you can use codex pag walang nag-exist ng standard. So there are also mga additive na wala rin sa codex. For example, yun ay specific for ASEAN kunyari, from Thailand, from ganyan. So kung yung tanong is may inconsistency between JETRO and USFDA, may na-encounter ba? Paano kaya? So, parang hindi ko masagot.
Okay, ma'am.
Can I add po, boss?
Okay.
Ikaw na lang, Tim.
Oh, actually that's a good question po where codex is not sufficient, so we rely on international regulatory regulations from other countries. But when very very rare po yung tanong na yan, that's why boss is having a hard time. But we do encounter a part of it na we refer to JETRO, for example, dun sa food contact materials, no?
Yeah.
We refer to a consensus of regulatory bodies na regulations, and when there are differences, dun po kami nagko-conduct pa ng further na study and research, no? In order, but the bottom line is when there are beyond parameters or specifications na sa codex wala, we do find the consensus on international regulatory standards and regulations of other countries. We find the common point in order for us to be guided, number one, and at the same time we have we magkakaroon kasi ng tinatawag na technical barrier to trade if we overly strictly implement something that may not be an international consensus. So yun po yung perspective na nakikita ko dyan sa question.
Pero in addition, Tim, I think go to codex. Kasi yun naman ay supported with the Food Safety Act eh. So because codex is considered as the parang international standard, because if there are mga dispute, yung WTO will go to codex. So kung to answer that, I think hindi ko i-entertain yung JETRO at USFDA. Ang alam ko pag JETRO is more on food contact, di ba? Or there are, I mean, ang lagi namin na-encounter sa JETRO that we are using JETRO is for the food contact materials. But for the additive, it's codex. Even if it's listed in FDA, USFDA, we go for codex. So yun yung parang to make our life simple. Codex nga. I mean, yun. Kung wala talaga, then we will evaluate siguro kung ano ba ang mas rational. Is it JETRO or is it the USFDA? So kasi it's a general question. Depende naman kung ano rin namang set parameter yung tinatanong. Thank you.
All right. Salamat po. Codex is our Bible. So, doon lang po tayo titingin at babase. Thank you po. Thank you po, Direk. Thank you, Sir Tim. Next question po natin from ITDI, Sir Oliver Evangelista. Sabi po niya, we have a newly established facility called Modular Industry Innovation Center, or the MMIC, and our director wanted the facility LTO certified. I browsed the FDA website and choices. There is either as distributor or as trader. Either way, I am not sure the mentioned functions of MMIC facility fits the said category, since MMIEC tend to serve as a common service facility, R&D and multi-industry center to assist in the needs of various sectoral industries, including food, dietary, supplements, and oral personal care. What shall we do? Ano po daw ang kanilang pipiliin po doon sa mga choices na yun? Distributor po ba or as trader?
Okay. So CMMC is the one manufacturing?
Ito po ay Common Service Facility, R&D and Multi-Industry Center. Tama po ba ako, Ma'am Nins?
Pero nga, so that MMC is the one manufacturing the product.
Yes po, actually, ang function niya is both for R&D, prototyping, and manufacturing for small volumes po, for our
if that's the case, then LTO's manufacturer. Kasi, di ba? Kasi you're the one, unless kung yung trader po, yung nagpapagawa sa inyo, yun yung trader.
Okay.
Tapos, tama ba ako? Diba? Kasi you are the one manufacturing. So food establishment kasi can be in the form, pwede kang maging manufacturer, pwede kang maging trader, pwede kang maging distributor, importer. So if you are a trader, you own the product, ikaw magsusupply ng mga raw materials doon sa isang facility kasi wala kang facility. That your product will be manufactured by that licensed facility.
Opo.
Oo.
Ma'am, parang to clarify, parang mas fitting yata yung para siyang toll facility at the same time.
Yeah, manufacturer pa rin, ma'am. But
Ayan,
you are the toll manufacturer.
Yes, toll manufacturer. That's the right term.
Yeah, parang may common kasi yun nga ang kulang sa mga MSME, di ba? Kasi meron silang product pero wala pa rin siyang facility. So makikipag-usap sila. Parang mas maganda din po yung ginawa ng DOST, provision of that facility para mag-initiate po ng development ng product na wala pa po na kakayahan yung may-ari ng produkto na yon, yung mga formulation nila na magsisimula pa lang sila. So yun po yung maganda. So, kasi I think in the past naman, may mga similar case, hindi lang tawag doon is modular or something. Meron din
actually, FICs, actually yung mga FICs natin, some of it's, yung food innovation centers po. Yes.
Di ba dati may mga LTO na rin yun?
Opo, yung iba po may mga LTO na rin.
So, kayo, nagma-manufacture kayo for a certain company na who don't have that facility. Diba? So, manufacturer po. Madali lang naman ang requirements ngayon ng manuf. Diba? Madali lang. Madali lang kasi mahirap ang hindi pa nasimulan. Pero pag nasimulan, madali lang yon. So, parang kung maliit lang yan, kasi ang pag toll manufacturer, may inspection kasi yan before the issuance of the LTO. But with the ease of doing business, we are compelled to hasten our process, right? Because otherwise, you will be summoned sa ARTA. Kaya ngayon, lagi kaming naa-ARTA. ARTA, Anti-Red Tape Authority. Pag hindi mo kinukumply yung timelines. At ang dami ngayon mga food industry has really taking, ibig sabihin, narireklamo lagi sa FDA. Lalo, ngayon, nung kahapon, nag-ARTA ako. Tinawag ako sa ARTA. So, yung kasi I saw in the question din doon sa box na kung meron daw, is there a way that FDA can facilitate the issuance of CPR, something like that. Ang sagot natin dyan, ma'am, is 20 days is the deadline or the days of processing that we have to comply with ARTA. So, yun. So, we are very, minomonitor namin na yung application dapat mapabilis. Kahit, yun nga, Yung kahit kunti lang yung tao and we have thousands of applications. So, inuna ko na yung tanong kasi nakita ko may tanong kung pwedeng pabilisin.
Thank you po, Direk.
So ang 20 days ba, hindi pa rin mabilis?
Sige po, salamat po. So I hope na naliwanagan po si Sir Oliver sa kanyang tanong. Our second to the last na po ba ito? Okay, I think meron pa naman tayong konting time pa. Sige po, next question po tayo from UPLB's Mr. Jack Barbecho. With the recent findings of the teams from DOST, PNRI, and UPLB on the honey fraud or adulteration here in the Philippines, will the FDA consider honey for product registration? Thank you po.
Marami namang product nire-register na honey. Ang tanong lang kasi dyan is, ano ba yung standard ng test ang gagamitin ng FDA for the monitoring of the authenticity ng honey, di ba? Tama ba ako, ma'am? May mga nakaregister na honey na product. Yun ba yung tanong? Hello, Miss Dayan.
Ang sabi po niya, ma'am, will the FDA consider honey for product registration?
Dapat talaga din mag-register siya.
So dapat
kasi based on
kapag
food safety,
mag-distribute ka, dapat talaga registered yung honey
kahit
mo.
mag-manufacture ka at mag-sell, kasi di ba as mentioned earlier, mandatory nga ang registration.
Opo.
So, kasi there are a lot of products in the market. Hindi naman kaya ng FDA lahat ma-monitor yan. Pero once na ma-monitor kayo, once na ma-monitor kayo, then you will be, yung laman ka ng advisory, tama? Yung advisory na ini-issue ni Sir Tim, ang daming ini-issue doon na advisory. Tapos with that issue once nga, ang dami-daming nagpaparegister na ngayon sa FDA kasi ayaw din siguro nilang malagay sa website ng FDA. So yun yung nagiging yun yung observation namin. So kung ang tanong mo is honey is dapat, we already have a lot of products, imported man siya, local man siya, na nakaregister. Kasi yung sa honey naman po, ang issue doon, more issue to me, parang quality issue, na yung authenticity ba ng honey, na hindi naman daw siya authentic. Ngayon, ang alam ko recently na controversial yan because marami daw sa market na hindi authentic na honey, tama? Kasi na test ng true radioisotope, which is being by the PNRI. So existing kasi ngayon na testing ng honey when it comes to monitoring is yung sa codex ang method of testing. So it's between kung gagamitin mo ang radioisotope to determine. So 'di ba ang mahal noon at saka si FDA wala namang capacity to test, only PNRI for the radioisotope. But then there are also tests na ginagawa ng FDA to determine the authenticity of the honey. Like, ititest mo lang, mayroon dong available na ang laboratory ng FDA that they monitor also previously honey. So, yun yata ang tingin ko na issue. But as to the registration, magre-register ka. And based sa Food Safety Act, honey na is, kung nasa honey is already under the jurisdiction of FDA. Ang sabai lang yata is pag Team, tama ba? Add-on.
Yes, correct po, boss. Definitely, honey is a registrable product. No? It's a processed food product. So, number one, dapat register siya. Number two, on the quote-unquote na honey fraud case, the question there is, number one, yung parameter ba na ginamit for assessing or saying that the honey products are fraudulent or not authentic is a regulatory na issuance or according to the regulatory na parameters natin. So the question is, it's not, no? So we conduct our own. So ngayon currently ongoing yung natin, no? Analysis natin ng mga honey products. Hinihintay na lang natin yung mga lab results using our methods, no? Validated methods, FDA validated methods na consistent with our Philippine national standard with honey. Again, consistent with the codex na sinasabi ni Ma'am Marlene. So we use the validated methods that we have, and then we can cross-check if the data that were presented initially by PNRI are consistent with the FDA's. No, so it's let's hold our horses muna and wait for the validated na results the FDA before we could assume that these are adulterated and fake, quote unquote, na mga honey products. And yun, again, reiterating that honey products are definitely dapat na registrable, and our local government units are enjoined naman in monitoring kasi maraming nakikita yung mga roadside lang na parang tourist na stopovers that sell honey products that are walang label. And kung titignan mo yung mga, kung meron mang label, there are insufficient information that wouldn't pass dun sa scrutiny ni Ma'am Marge sa product registration. So with those context clues, no, makikita natin that these products are potentially violative with FDA rules and regulations. That's why we want the enjoyment ng LGU sa pag-conduct namin ng post-marketing surveillance. Kasi we don't want naman na we immediately issue advisory sana kung active din yung participation ng ating mga local government units in policing within their territorial jurisdiction. So, yun po.
Thank you po. Salamat po. So, automatic dapat i-register ang mga honey. So, siguro for us, consumers, it is also our responsibility para tingnan na lang din natin at wag na lang tayong bumili ng mga tabi-tabi dyan na mga honey. Para din makaiwas tayo sa mga hindi magagandang effects ng pwedeng adulterated honey na yon. Okay, so shall we entertain more questions? It's already 11:10. I think pwede naman din pong sagutin. Of course, in the interest of our time, madami po ito mga questions, but I know, just as what Director Marlene said a while ago, they are open for a conversation. Pwede niyo po silang i-email, pwede niyo po silang itanong, and questions raised here in our Zoom Q&A chat box can be answered po. So kung di man po ito nasagot during our live Q&A, pwede po itong sagutan ni na Director at saka po ni na Ms. Pauline at saka po ni Sir Timothy. So, tingnan ko lang po ulit ang ating questions. Okay. So I think, okay, ito po. Siguro pwede na itong second to the last question. Question po from Ms. Erlinda Capacete from Laguna Organic Farm and Products. Can I request to be connected to whoever can help us apply for novel registration of pili nuts to the EU regulation? We export most of pili to US and some to UK. It's just last October 2020, we learned that pili is novel in the EU market or European market. We want to prepare for the next possible shipment. Thanks, from Laguna Organic Farm and Products. Saan po daw kaya sila pwedeng mag-apply ng novel registration of their pili nuts being an exporter in the European market?
Yung SPS ba? Pero basically, ma'am, ako muna sagot. If ang products mo ay ini-export, so, di ba, may FTO ka, may product registration ka ba? Or I think you have to know the requirements of the importing country. So your product will be going to EU, right? And I think recently there is a parang coordination meeting with SPS, yung EU counterpart natin, with the Philippine counterpart, particularly the Department of Agriculture. So we were invited to sit in the meeting regarding yung mga organic products that you will be exporting to EU. And I think team is the one who attended that. So maybe he can share. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, boss. Regarding po sa ano natin, no, exportation natin, actually, hindi lang kay EU, no, with other countries. Our role as potential exporters is to contact yung or research on the regulatory requirements ng country na yon. So, nabanggit na ni Ma'am Marlene. But EU in particular is, if not the strictest in the whole world, no, one of the strictest na mapasok ng mga Philippine exports natin. Kaya meron po tayong agency that assists us in EU exportation, which is the DTI Export Marketing Bureau. And in collaboration, lalo na kung nanggaling po ang inyong product sa agricultural commodity, no, matutulungan din po tayo ng Department of Agriculture. Meron silang agricultural attaché in EU, which could help us in further inquiring ano ba yung mga requirements for novel foods naman. So in recent years, actually pinag-usapan na yan sa pili nuts na yan. They considered it as a novel food sa EU because ang requirement nila dyan, if it has been exported for a number of years na sa EU, is it being regularly consumed? Merong mga ganong conditionalities kasi with EU market para masabing hindi siya novel yung pagkain. And i-apply nila yung existing nila na mga EU regulations on standards on contaminants on specific food products. So pili nuts is not there. So they are requiring full scrutiny. May risk assessment dapat dyan. And merong other data na nag-conduct tayo ng further monitoring regarding pili nuts. So they're taking extra precautions on pili nuts in particular. So the efforts has been spearheaded na by the Department of Agriculture regarding that. Yes, boss.
So, sino sa Department of Agriculture? Baka pwede mong sabihin yung pangalan. Sila?
Yes, for boss, sila po yan, Miss Christine Yap. For EU, European Union Foreign Affairs Desk Specialist po siya. That is linking our countrymen, no, yung mga agricultural commodity related na product. Kahit na process na siya, it helps us in gaining market access to European Union. So si Miss Christine Yap is collaborating then with the DTI Export Marketing Bureau with regards to European Union. For her contact number, I guess I just have to give you the email address later on. No? So, na lang po natin, Miss Dayan, no? I-share ko na lang yung email niya instead of her contact number. I might need to secure first her permission for her mobile.
All right.
Okay?
Sige po. Thank you po, Sir Tim. Thank you po, Direct Marlene. Our last question. What are the common reasons for denial of registration applications for novel food products and ingredients? And what will be the major reminders would you like to share to our dear applicants?
Mary Joy, ikaw na sasagot?
Sige, boss. Dagdag na lang po. Common causes of denial for novel, especially, syempre po, dahil first in the market, usually first in the market, new innovations. So, yun din, certain, yung mga substantiation for the safety of the product for food use. So, kasi katulad ng mga, may mga products na ito lang yung approved use niya, pero gagamitin siya on a different function, which is not listed on the regulation. So yun, madi-deny agad yun unless there's a substantiation or justification or on its new use for that product and its safety on that specific use po. So depende na lang sa product kung ano yung hahanapin namin. Kasi especially there are ingredients or novel food that pwedeng may mga toxic toxic characteristic siya. So isang way yon to think na paano mo sa-substantiate na yung toxic components sa product ay mawawala pwedeng through processing. So kasama yun sa scientific studies na hanapin namin or through processing nung raw material pa lang na mawawala na yung toxic components or other harmful components dun sa product na yun. Boss, may dagdag ka pa po ba?
Yung isang ano doon, diba? Usually, for example, ano ba yung example lang? If there are herbal ingredients, diba? And these are, di mo maintindihan yung mga herbs. So, is it noble ba? I mean, ano kasi, paano mo ma-ensure safety? Ano mga additional requirements or submission that they have to upload? Diba? Usually, mga toxicity data or nakalista ba yun sa US ano tawag dito, yung mga grass list, yung mga ganun po. So that's one of our part ng evaluation process. And in the event naman na we evaluate, we will inform naman po the applicant company. For example, may mga ibang colors kasi. Example lang yung mga recent na encounter namin. May mga food additive siya na hindi nakalista siya as food color. So, pero nag-i-impart siya ng color. So, pero wala pa rin siyang na yun ay magiging color. So, parang siyang isang ingredient. So, pag ingredient, ibig sabihin, wag mo siyang i-claim na siya ay coloring kasi hindi pa naman siya nakalista doon sa codex or doon sa AO 88 A1984. So, it's an ingredient. So, how would you prove na yun ay safe? So, yun, mga safety data, meron bang approval yun sa ibang countries? And kasi yun po, yung mga nire-require namin, basta bigyan lang kami ng substantiation na yun ay safe. So that's general response to the question. Thank you.
Salamat po. Again, we would not be able to accommodate all the other questions, but then our speakers, our friends po from FDA would be happy to accommodate these questions. Pwede niyo po again sagutin ito through our Q&A chat box, yung mga hindi pa po nasasagot. So we would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our participants for actively participating, bringing in your questions, and we hope that through our Q&A, you have been enlightened, you have been interested more to partner with us po, to make your proposals for your projects and others. So this time we would like to take this opportunity to appreciate, of course, our dear speakers, of course, Director Pilar, Marilyn Pagayunan, Ms. Mary Joy Pauline, and Mr. Timothy Moises C. Mendoza. We would like to award this certificate to you, virtually award this certificate po to you as our token of appreciation. And along with this, we'll be also providing some P-Assured merchandises right at your doorsteps. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. So can I request that the certificate be flashed in our screens para at least we can award it virtually. And while our Zoom men are doing that, can I request all of our panelists to please turn on your cameras because we would also take this time for a photo opportunity. So, ito na po ang mga picture natin today. Nowadays, Zoom photo. So, can I invite our panelists to turn on their cameras? Hilingan na rin po natin, nandito po ang Yusek Gev. Sir Eric, can you also join us po? Para po sa ating photo opportunity. Okay. So again, later po, for you to accomplish the feedback form, all you have to do is to scan the QR code. Later po, ipa-flash po yan sa inyong screens through a slideshow. And then, of course, after our Zoom, a link would be sent to your email that was registered for this Zoom webinar. Para po masagutan nyo, and then you would receive your certificates and a link to the copy of the presentations earlier para po ma-review nyo po ulit. So do we have everybody? Okay, andito na po sila, turned on the cameras. So on the cue of our Zoom men, okay, can you cue us po or ako na, I'll do the honor. Ngingiti lang po, kasya na po yata sa isang frame o dalawang frame ba? Para sa ating picture. Okay. All right. Sige po, on my cue. On my cue na lang. Okay, wear your best smiles for our Zoom photo. In 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, sige, para sigurado, isa pa. Okay, last photo. Okay, ready? Smile po tayo in 3, 2, 1, smile. All right. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all your enlightening talk. Thank you po sa lahat ng mga na-share niyo po sa ating participants, sa ating viewers. Maraming salamat po. And we are hoping that this is a very good start of our novel food product registration undertakings. Okay, so ito po ay isang wrap na. It has been indeed a fruitful and collaborative day. So to cap off our program, let us hear from the woman who make change happen through R&D, one of the equally dedicated and passionate leaders of DOST, none other than the Undersecretary for R&D. I'm turning over the virtual floor to Dr. Rowena Cristina Guevara. Good morning, Ma'am Gev.
Morning. Can you hear me?
Yes po.
DOST Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, Director General Dr. Eric Domingo, Director Pilar Marilyn Pag-ayunan, Ms. Mary Joy Pauline, Mr. Timothy Moises Mendoza, Dr. Eric Paringit, to our friends from the Food and Drug Administration, valued researchers and industry partners, distinguished guests and participants, colleagues from the DOST, ladies and gentlemen, magandang agham po sa inyong lahat. You know that DOST gives funding for research and development, and we have this huge number of novel food products that have finished their R&D, and we are looking forward to seeing them in the market. As far as I'm concerned, until I see those food products in the groceries or in the pharmacies, I don't consider the research as finished. So because of that clamor, we had this arranged seminar with the Food and Drug Administration to help you get to that part of the R&D, the end of R&D. As we reach the end of this webinar, we at the Department of Science and Technology are extremely grateful that you joined us in making this a successful event. The DOST has been supporting R&D collaborations with the industry as agri-food processing remains a priority sector. As far as we're concerned, there are many agri-food processing companies, mostly micro, small, and medium enterprises, and their contribution to the Philippine economy can still be improved. I would like to extend my warmest and sincerest appreciation to the Food and Drug Administration, our partner in introducing game-changing technologies for the food manufacturing sector as we balance scientific and technological innovations with food safety regulations. We are very happy with FDA as our partner. We also thank our honorable resource speakers. Nakita ko yung pangalan ni Ma'am Pag-ayunan. Kailangan umayon muna kayo dun sa kanilang requirements bago kayo papasa sa FDA. We thank them and Timothy and also Ma'am May for giving their time to us and sharing their knowledge and expertise on the registration of food products and novel materials. We learned a lot from this virtual conference, and we hope that you will apply these learnings in your respective R&D activities and eventually in applying for food product registration. Seryoso po kami dito. Ang DOST, ang suporta namin sa researchers namin ay end-to-end. So kung matapos ninyo yung research ninyo at magre-register na kayo dito, hahanapan namin ang paraan para matulungan din kayo. To our participants, we hope that the webinar helped you identify the necessary processes and requirements for food product registration, gained knowledge about the special requirements on the registration of novel raw materials or emerging processes, and discovered how compliance to these requirements could already be integrated in the R&D process. Tandaan po natin, hindi tapos ang R&D hanggat di umaabot ang inyong research output sa intended user. The Department of Science and Technology is committed to protect and improve the lives of every Filipino by developing and implementing technological R&D initiatives and forging stronger ties for addressing pressing national challenges. We enjoin everyone to make valuable contributions by making change happen through science and technology. Let us continue to move forward and constantly evolve to meet the changing needs and challenges of our society. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at magandang agham.
Magandang agham din, Yusek Gil. Inaayunan ko po ang inyong sinabi kanina. Kailangan talaga makarating sa intended users ang ating mga produkto. So maraming salamat po sa lahat ng ating mga participants who joined us today, who stayed with us until 11:29. Yung iba po nagugutom na, but again, we would like to thank everybody. Flashed on your screen is a QR code. Pwede nyo po yung scan so that it can lead you to the customer satisfaction feedback. Okay? Para po ma-accomplish nyo yon and you would receive your certificate of attendance, and also a link to the copy of our speakers' presentations. So, it is our hope that through this forum has been a beginning of something good, something new in further improving the concerns and the needs of the novel food registration undertakings here in the Philippines. And of course, we know that that can be made possible through science, technology, and innovation, plus collaboration. So this has been Diane, and always remember that innovation with collaboration is the key in making a better nation. Stay safe, everyone. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. And happy lunch po sa inyong lahat. God bless po. Stay safe.